Hey YouTube, this is Monty, and I'm here excited to talk about the entrepreneurial journeys of kids. And I guess this is really inspired by my own journeys and ventures as a kid. I had some successful opportunities and some not so successful. And every opportunity is really a chance to learn and get some lessons and grow from that experience. I sold doors door to door, and I did other things that were sort of interesting as a kid, but nothing that was too massively successful. Things were pretty much low risk and high reward were things that I kind of focused on, but they weren't necessarily scalable as I learned. So I actually had the opportunity to spend a significant amount of time with my kid, and in working with my kids, they've both been entrepreneurial in their own experiences. So this is actually as a result of sitting down with my award-winning author, entrepreneur, business owner son. And this is really going to be a video not including him, but it's going to talk a little bit about some of his experiences and share some things that kids can do to start businesses when they're still young, maybe in middle school or younger. So without further ado, here are the top 10 things a kid can do to start a business with a family. Number 1, flipping sneakers. Flipping sneakers is very, very popular these days, especially with kids, and with the idea that they're going to buy shoes, wear the shoes probably briefly. Some of them are really hard on shoes, no question, but they're going to buy shoes, wear shoes probably briefly, and then grow on to the next size. What's interesting about some shoes nowadays is that some of them are very, very expensive. I know everyone focuses on Jordans. There's one kid that was able to flip some Jordans they purchased for $50, and they were Jordan 3s, and he was able to actually get multiples of that, selling for $150 on a sneaker group on Facebook, Sneakerheads. That's a great idea. One of the most interesting things is there's some sneakers that people don't necessarily have the familiarity with, but have a much higher resale and retail value. There's some sneakers that go for $750, and I'm not just talking about Giuseppe's and those kinds of shoes, but some other shoes that almost look like Converse. They go for about $700 a piece, and they look worn. Gucci and PRADA, all those kinds of shoes have the same scenario. They have a shoe today that looks worn that sells for about $750, and they could be purchased. People might give them away to charity. You can go to a thrift store and find those shoes, buy them, and then resell them for a fraction of the cost, $200, and it's still more than your average person would pay for your regular shoes. But people that know those shoes and will pay that for those shoes. So flipping sneakers is definitely one of the top 10 things kids can do. The next thing a kid can potentially do is sell candy. And when I say sell candy, I mean selling with a vending machine. Now, some kids will actually sell candy for their school, which is fine. But if you actually got a vending machine, you can sell candies, sodas, snacks, get a retail location or a location in an office building, and you don't have to physically be there to sell the candy. You just have to go to the wholesale store with your parents. You can then go to replenish the store, the candy store, which is your vending machine, and you're collecting coins. It's a fun experience for the kids to be able to see the coins and see the dollars, and in some cases they take the credit card, see the machine actually give them the money instead of them buying the candy. My kid loves candy, and this is sort of a good experience to really show them it's more than just buying the candy that is a part of the business. It's really something that you could pick the right candies, put it in the vending machine, and as a result, constantly sell out, which is an awesome experience. The next thing you could potentially do is old-fashioned, but there's a new school spin to it, and that's cutting lawns. In cutting lawns, you're taking yourself to a traditional reality that every summer there's going to be a chance for you to cut the lawns. People that are older and my age don't want to cut the lawns themselves. A lot of businesses are successful these days in cutting lawns for homeowners. I know one kid was able to cut a number of lawns, and as a result, he was able to save $30,000 and buy a vehicle. And he wasn't even 15 years old. He wasn't able to drive the vehicle, but he was able to buy it because he cut that many lawns and saved that much money. So cutting lawns is a great opportunity. There are some apps. There's an app called GreenPal. GreenPal is a app which allows you to become more of a business owner than just sort of a lawn jockey, if you will. And there's over 5,500 partners who've used it to mow lawns, and they're essentially vendors that are high school kids that essentially find ways to make extra money, but it essentially gives you a little bit more of a business sense to the process. And the average person, when they're using Green Pal to actually be a lawn entrepreneur, is making about $55 an hour on this lawn mowing system. Kids can set their own hours and pick up clients as they want. It's a pretty cool opportunity, and especially if you actually have one of those riding mowers. But if you have a push mower, it's still the same. $55 an hour to mow a lawn is a great business to start as a kid. Next, you would have something that you could do with your family, which is selling on eBay. My son Noah was able to sell on eBay when he was really small, and he sold clothes and cookies, and in both cases cookies and lemonade to be exact. He was able to do that successfully, and as a result generated some revenue, and it was kind of a cool process. We actually did it offline and online, and it was an interesting process just to really be able to sell on eBay and learn from the experiences. And this is, again, eBay in its beginnings roughly 10-20 years ago, but to this day you can still sell on eBay. Many people are still doing that, and as a result, people are generating flippers. Internet arbitrage is real. People buy something, find it, and then sell it on eBay for a profit. So selling on eBay is something a kid as young as 10, 12, or younger could actually do. My son did it when he was about 8. Next thing we encourage people to do is to find ways to be creative. If they're creative with everything from science to creating things, paintings, if they wanted to be creative, they could be an Instagram influencer to a degree. Creative content production is key. Today, people are looking for new content, looking for new forms of content, looking for new resources. If you can be a creative creator, you can actually generate some revenue as a creator. Again, I know a person who's an Instagram influencer who all they do is create theme pages. Those theme pages are essentially not with their image, but they're creating content on a regular basis that, as a result, people are interested in that content, follow the page, follow the content they're producing. They produce those theme pages, and as they produce more content, they get more revenue, they get more followers. Quite an interesting journey. But theme pages, content producers, is a tremendous asset that you could, as a kid, begin to do. The next thing you could actually do is something where you're going to be building something that something as simple as a website. You could be a website developer, a website designer, and you can do this from home. You can do this from your phone nowadays. Certain people actually are able to build websites pretty simply. I was actually building websites with my phone 10 years ago using WordPress. It's a very simple process. Once you understand the code, once you understand the basics of it, there's a lot of functionalities you can do, not just with the websites, but you can do with e-commerce solutions. There's a lot of tools. HappyEarners.com has allowed some people to really develop basic sites. You can develop some basic things that people need, and a lot of businesses don't necessarily have their full social media campaign in place. And if you actually are creative to build their website and build their content, people will be extremely happy to pay you to build that content for them as a kid. The next thing is really video games. If you're playing video games, in 2021, one of the most interesting things we've ever heard was that there was a platform called Twitch that got hacked. When Twitch got hacked, it talked about the highest earners of video game players. The highest earner of video game players was generating $9 million a year as a video game entrepreneur. They weren't creating the video games. All they were doing was playing games in competitions and tournaments. So, say all that to say, when your kids play video games, if you understand the value of a $9 million a year video game addiction, you might want to encourage them to get better at it, potentially. So, the next thing I'm going to speak to is the idea of actually having more of a baking, cooking opportunity. I kind of talked to the idea of having sold on eBay baked goods and clothing, but if you really focused on just the baking, I think it's a whole different reality. It's something that people can actually do and generate. You might spend $1 on the goods to be able to sell these goods. So focusing on baked goods, focusing on cooking foods, focusing on things that are very relevant to you would be tremendously helpful. And that's number 8. For number 9, I'm going to speak to something that's sort of easy, and it's a low-hanging fruit scenario, and that's creating a YouTube channel. Again, I've spoke to the idea of being a creator, a content creator, which is very, very valuable. especially today when people are consuming massive amounts of content with the pandemic and with people being home for the most part. Being a content creator, specifically on YouTube, has allowed people to curate content and then create content in their niche, whatever their niche might be. And in creating that content in their niche, they're able to create an audience and create a 1,000 true fans. And once you get that 1,000 true fans and on YouTube, the 40 hours of watch time, you're able to generate revenue on a regular basis in your niche. So that's something you can do as a kid without question. Kids are making a mark on the YouTube platform. Number 10, last but not least, my son kind of inspired me because he is an award-winning entrepreneur, and being an award-winning author, he's been able to successfully have a book that has made sales. It's won awards. He's been able to generate revenue from his company as a result of telling a story. And storytelling is an art that people don't necessarily appreciate, but it's become something that is a significant part of the journey. Telling your story is a part of the journey, and being able to put it in paper as an author is a tremendous asset. So anyway, those are the top 10 things you could do as a kid, entrepreneurially, and that's it.